The information presented in this video is solely my opinion, thank you.
Yeah, good night to all my viewers and my subscribers, and thanks for the support that you guys have been giving me, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, I really appreciate all the effort you guys make in watching my content and liking and subscribing, yeah? Alright, so tonight I have a topic which is no stranger to the ears of people who are searching for the truth, you know what I mean? So tonight the topic is gonna be the tree of life, you know what I mean? Because this is a well talked about topic and no one has never yet tried to decode what this tree was, or you know what I mean, or try to understand the meaning of this tree, you know what I mean. And this tree has been spoken of across the world in various culture, you know what I mean. And the characteristic of this tree is similar to those of other cultures, you know what I mean. Because one of the main characteristic of this tree was that whoever come in contact would have seemed to be enlightened, or they would have get some supernatural powers, you know what I mean. And the next characteristic of this tree was that its roots goes down to hell, or down into the underworld, and the top of this tree goes up into the cosmos, or basically up into the heavens, you know what I mean. So in my culture, this tree and this fruit that Adam and Eve had encountered, most people in my culture would have said that the fruit was sex. You know what I mean? That's what I grew up on. But tonight I'm gonna decode it for y'all. Yeah, and I want you to form your own opinion after this podcast. You know what I mean? And tell me what you think, and you can drop your comment. And as I said before, thanks for the support. I've been getting like good feedbacks, you know what I mean? It's tremendous. And just want to say thank you guys for everybody who subscribe, like, and share and support me, you know what I mean? Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, and yeah, if you want to get enlightened, just tune in, you know what I mean? Because what else are we living for, you know what I mean? Money isn't everything, I mean, you know what I mean? I work every day, but I still do my own research, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's how I feed my soul, you know what I mean? Yeah. So this is how I basically feed my soul, yeah. Alright, so we're gonna go in this topic, yeah, because this topic concerning this tree of life, yeah, has been written all over the world in various cultures, you know what I mean. And one of the main characteristics again with this tree, there's a serpent coiled around this tree, or there's a serpent in this tree, or there's a serpent come in contact with this tree at some point, you know what I mean. So basically, the first tree that we're gonna jump on now is the Norwegian tree of life. Now this tree is called Yggdrasil, you know what I mean? And it is known as the cosmic tree of life to the Norwegians, you know what I mean? And this tree contains 9 realms, you know what I mean? And at the top of this tree you would have the realm that's called Asgard. That's the dwelling of the god, or the abode of the gods, you know what I mean? Yeah, so basically that would be the Norwegians' heaven, you know what I mean? And below the Norwegians' heaven, you have 8 other realms, you know what I mean? Which is Midgard, you know what I mean? Which is Earth. And if you have a look on your screen, then you'll see a depiction of what I'm talking about, you know what I mean? So basically, these Norwegians are showing us that most of these realms, they are a spherical figure, you know what I mean? They are round. But where we dwell now on Earth, or what they would have called Midgard, is a flat plane. I know this is a discussion that we need to get into as well, because these people seems like they know more than today's scientists, because I know that we are not living on a ball spinning 1100 miles per hour. But that's for another topic, you know what I mean? And then it is no coincidence why these scientists say that there is 9 planets in our solar system, or there is 9 planets in outer space. And now we've realized that the Vikings don't spoke about 9 realms. This is no coincidence, because a lot of the literature sees across the world, you know what I mean? These scientists, they have come in contact with it, you know what I mean? And this is where they get most of their information from. They didn't pull this thing out of thin air. They didn't research nothing. You know what I mean? Just like how they came up with this Big Bang Theory thing, yeah? And saying that's how life started. But when you go back into the Babylonian Enuma Elish, yeah? That's the Babylonian Gospel of Creation, where they talk about how Marduk and Tiamat collide. You know what I mean? So basically, Marduk and Tiamat was 2 planetary bodies colliding. according to the Babylonian gospel, you know what I mean? And out of this collision, life form. So that's basically a breakdown of the Big Bang Theory. So these scientists, they are not coming up with nothing new because there is nothing new under the face of the sun. So tonight, this topic is gonna be very interesting, yeah, and I'm gonna decode this tree for y'all. You know what I mean? And this is from my own research and from my own notes that I have put together, you know what I mean? And this is my opinion. But you can drop your input in the comments, you know what I mean? And we can have another discussion sometime, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna basically jump on three main trees. Yes, so I'm gonna jump on the Yggdrasil, that's the Norwegian tree of life, and then I'm gonna jump on the Hebrew Bible tree of life. Yeah, and then I'm gonna jump on the tree of life from the Chronicles of Hercules. And in all these three tree of lives, there was a serpent. You know what I mean? But guess what? In these three scenarios, the serpent plays three different roles. Yeah, in one scenario, the serpent is the destroyer. You know what I mean? And in the next scenario, the serpent is a deceiver. And in the next scenario, the serpent plays the role of a guardian. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give you this information and I want you to decide, okay? So in Norse mythology, and the Norwegian tree of life or the Norwegian cosmic tree, which they claims hold their 9 realms. Yeah, at the bottom of this tree there's a serpent called Niagara. Now, this serpent represent the evil forces that exist in the Norwegian universe. You know what I mean? So the role of this serpent is to corrupt and infiltrate Yggdrasil, thus causing Ragnarok. You know what I mean? So this serpent is trying to overpower Yggdrasil, that's the cosmic tree of life, thus causing it to collapse to cause the end of time, which is called Ragnarok by the Norwegians. You know what I mean? So basically, the serpent is trying to bring along Judgment Day and the Norwegians. Just like how the serpent in your Christian Hebrew Bible is trying to bring along Judgment Day, this is how this Niagara, this serpent at the bottom of the Norwegian cosmic tree, is trying to bring along Ragnarok. You know what I mean? So basically, it's trying to collapse the Norwegian universe. You know what I mean? It's trying to collapse Yggdrasil, that's the Norwegian cosmic tree, which hold your 9 realms. So therefore, in this scenario, yeah, it's right to say that this serpent is playing the role of a destroyer. You know what I mean? So in this here scenario, this is the destroyer serpent. And its role is to bring forth the end of days, you know what I mean, our judgment day as we know it, you know what I mean. To the Norwegian, it's called Ragnarok. You get me? So different scenario, same serpent, same tree, different agenda, you know what I mean? Same serpent, same tree, different agenda, you know what I mean? So let's jump on the next tree. Now the next tree is the tree that's in the Hebrew Bible in the Garden of Eden. Now on this tree, this serpent plays the deceiver. Yeah, because the serpent basically tricked Adam and Eve, you know what I mean? So it's safe to say that he robbed them of immortality because they were told by God not to eat of this tree because the day that they do so, they shall surely die. But what the serpent did was deceive them, told them that, well, you won't really die, but your eyes will be open, you know what I mean? And once they ate of the tree, well, they realized their nakedness, and God realized that they had ate of the tree. You know what I mean? And they were thrown out of the garden, and their immortality was taken from them. You know what I mean? So basically, the role of the serpent was the deceiver. Yeah, he played a deceiver role where he tricked both Adam and Eve into eating the fruit. You know what I mean? Which was told not to be partake of by God. Now, the next tree is found in the 12 labors of Hercules. Yeah. And in the 12 labors of Hercules, there was a tree also, a tree that granted immortality, an apple tree that yield golden fruits, and whoever partake of these golden fruits would be granted the ability to live forever. And in this tree of life, there was also a serpent, but the role of the serpent was a guardian role. You know what I mean? The serpent guard these fruits for who it would deem worthy to partake of. So if the serpent didn't deem you worthy to partake of these fruit, it would have consumed you, you know what I mean? So this is basically same tree, same serpent, different story, you know what I mean? So in each scenario with these three, the serpent plays a different role. But what was this tree? Why was this tree so important? Because this tree was basically talked about by the Celts. The Celtic spoke about dear tree of life. You know what I mean? The Norwegian spoke about dear tree of life. You get me? It's in the Christian Judah Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, they spoke about dear tree of life in Genesis. You know what I mean? So what was so important about this tree of life? Even if you go back into the Mayan Popol Vuh, into the Mayan book of creation, yeah, into the Mayan book of people, which is called the Popol Vuh. Yeah, where you got Hunapu and seven Hunapu. Now Hunapu and seven Hunapu was two gods, two Mayan gods. They went into the underworld, which is known as Jibalba. You know what I mean? And when they went into the underworld in this place called Jibalba, they went to fight seven demon gods. But Unapu and seven Unapu was tricked by these demon lords, yeah? And they were slaughtered in the underworld. And after they were slaughtered, where Hunapu died, where seven Hunapu died, that tree grew. Now, when this tree grew, it yielded a fruit, you know what I mean? And when it yielded this fruit, one of the seven demon lords who killed Hunapu and seven Hunapu daughter came in contact with the fruit from this tree, and she became pregnant after coming in contact with the fruit from this tree. You know what I mean? And after she became pregnant, she had twins. You know what I mean? So she had twins for Hunapu, and these twins were known as the twins. They were called Jebelanka and Hunapu. You get what I'm saying? But after coming in contact with this tree, which is basically the Mayan tree of life, you know what I mean? She became pregnant. You know what I mean? So there's something special about this tree because it goes across all the cultures. All major cultures speak of a tree of life. So tonight we're gonna decode this tree of life, and I'm gonna tell you guys my opinion on what I think this tree of life is. So tune in, people, because this is where this podcast is gonna get very interesting. Yes, man. So listen to me now, yeah. So this tree that we're gonna decode now, one of the main characteristics of this tree was that its roots goes down into the underworld. You know what I mean? And its branches reaches the heaven. So basically, this tree is growing from one dimension to the next. You get me? So basically, this tree was a gateway because it grows between worlds. You know what I mean? That's why the Norwegians call it the cosmic tree. Because within this tree, their nine realms exist, you know what I mean? And this tree was holding their nine realms together, you know what I mean? So basically, this tree is the gateway, you know what I mean? So that's the reason why the serpent entered the garden via this tree of life. Because the serpent wasn't supposed to be in the garden. Because the serpent was cast out of heaven. The serpent was the adversary of the Most High. The serpent was the adversary of the Creator. So he shouldn't have had access to the garden. But the serpent has knowledge as well. The serpent is smart. Remember, the serpent was God, basically God's second in command. He was one of God's brightest angels, so he knew a lot. You know what I mean? So he knew that this tree was the way to access the Garden of Eden. You know what I mean? Because this tree, one of the characteristics of these trees, I said, is that they grow between worlds. So the serpent knew that, so he knew he could have accessed the garden via this tree. So if you see this movie called Avatar with these blue people, yeah, and these blue people they dwell in a forest, yeah, and if you go back to the theory of the seven root race which was placed upon Earth, which no longer exists, you know what I mean? No, one of these seven root races was called the Hyperboreans, and the Hyperboreans was some blue people. So this is just no simple movie. They didn't pull these ideas out of thin air. You know what I mean? These millionaires who sponsor these movies and all of that, they didn't pull these ideas out of thin air. They are giving you a depiction of the Hyperboreans in the Hyperboreans' time. You know what I mean? And if you watch this movie Avatar, they got this huge tree in their forest, this tree which they connect to. You know what I mean? And in this tree, they could have upload information to the tree and download information from the tree. You know what I mean? And this is no lie. You know what I mean? This is the depiction of a real scenario of the purpose of this tree. You know what I mean? So this is basically the tree of life which was spoken about by all the cultures across the world, you know what I mean? Because this tree grow between worlds, and this tree contains information from all the worlds. You know what I mean? So you could upload information to this tree and download information from this tree. You know what I mean? So when the serpent told Adam and Eve to partake of this tree, it wasn't partake of no fruit. You know what I mean? It was about attaching to the tree, download the information from the tree. You know what I mean? So once they attached to the tree and they got the knowledge from the tree, they realized that they were naked because they have become enlightened. The same way how the Buddha went under the Bodhi tree and became enlightened. It's the same thing that happened to Adam and Eve. You know what I mean? So this tree is even in Buddhism as well. You know what I mean? Because the Buddha went under the Bodhi tree and became enlightened. So the story of this tree is everywhere. You get what I'm saying? What I'm saying to you now, this tree was basically like the philosopher's stone. You know, they say when a person touches the philosopher's stone, yeah, every information about you is stored in that stone. You know what I mean? So watch this now, yeah. So basically, this tree is a huge tree which grows from world to world, just like how you read the book of Jack and the Beanstalk. And in the book of Jack and the Beanstalk, yeah, you got Jack who plant this bean, this tree grows up to another world, and Jack climb it and he encounters giant. You know what I mean? He went into the land of the giant. And we have been taught, and whoever research the apocryphas like me, then you have to believe in giants because the Bible told you that giant exists. It's there in the book of Enoch as well. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna talk like I'm biblical, but there's some truth there, you know what I mean? Because the book of Enoch also spoke of giants as well. So just like how Jack plant this magic bean, it grows up into another world. Jack goes up on this beanstalk and enters into the land of the giants, you know what I mean? So it's no lie, you know what I mean? The truth is there. They put the truth in cartoon and in storybook, you know what I mean? So this was the tree of life which grows from world to world. So once you come in contact with this tree, you'll be getting information from other worlds, from other dimension, you know what I mean? And whatever you upload in this tree, it's going to other worlds as well. So whoever who is there in those other worlds who can access this tree, they'll be getting information from your world where you are. So that's how it was. That was the role of this tree. You know what I mean? And these trees once exist. You know what I mean? And these trees were destroyed by an evil agenda. Because I'm gonna post something now and I need you to take a look and I want you to read it because it's written in the book of Enoch. In the book of Enoch, it is written that now then shall the angels labor at the tree, but when they do so, I shall put my hands on it and preserve it. No. At which tree are these angels laboring, and why are they laboring at this tree? No, these angels, these fallen angels, they knew they messed up. They knew they defy God, you know what I mean? So they knew that this tree was a gateway, you know what I mean? This tree was a portal for God to enter earth or where they was at. So that's the main reason why they were laboring at the tree. They were trying to get God out of this physical plane that they were banished to. You know what I mean? Because they didn't want to be judged. Because they said to Enoch, they asked Enoch to intercede to God for them, you know what I mean? And God told Enoch, no, you can't help them. Their sentence has already been passed. So they knew that they were doomed. So basically, they were getting rid of this tree or all these trees that grown from worlds to worlds because these trees once exist. And if you can Google it, yeah, you can Google and I'll post pictures right here and show you giant tree stump. Tree stump the size of a mountain that has been petrified, you know what I mean? Yeah, petrified and become more like rocks, you know what I mean? Because the reason for getting rid of these trees by these angels was to rid the world of God or rid the world of the connection to God, you know what I mean? Because these trees were a portal, they were gateways. You could have access to other realms via these trees, and you could have gotten information from other realms through these trees, you know what I mean? That's why they were removed, you know what I mean? That's why we are living in a time now where a miracle seems impossible, you know what I mean? Yeah, so removing all these trees would put the mass or put the world vibration at a low state. You know what I mean? So all of our connection with God has been lost. You know what I mean? we could have been connected to God via these three easily, you know what I mean? Yeah, we would have access other realm information from other realms, you know what I mean? Because what seems impossible in our realms, you know what I mean, might just be like a ABC trick to people in other realms, you know what I mean? Because in other dimension, what's impossible here is nothing to them, you know what I mean? Because you got lower dimension, higher dimension. What seems impossible here is like an arm in the next dimension. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why there's no miracles. There's no connection with the higher powers. These angels, they knew what they were doing. And all of these trees were removed for unknown reasons, you know what I mean? Even in the state of California, there once exist giant trees and all of them has been removed for what? For unknown reason. Nobody knows why. And nobody knows who's doing these things, you know what I mean? But you got forces at bay who's pulling strings, and these forces at bay who's pulling strings, they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? So basically, this tree was the gateway to God. You know what I mean? Basically, I'm gonna call this tree or these tree the world trees. You know what I mean? They connect worlds together. You know what I mean? Connect us to the divine. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's the reason why they has been removed. You know what I mean? Because even in Mesoamerican myth, yeah, these three were known as the spirit of the forest, you know what I mean? And they were known to harbor life or give life to their surroundings, you know what I mean? Yeah, and they were all removed, you know what I mean? And the forces that removed these trees, they know exactly what they were doing. They were removing the gateway from our realm. So we have no access to the creator and no access to the higher power, you know what I mean? That's what they were doing. So if you see this movie, The Avatar, and you see how they connect with this tree and how they trace their ancestry through this tree and all of that, and you know what I mean, and all the information about their races and their culture was in this tree, you know what I mean? It's true, you know what I mean? Because these millionaires who are making these movies, they know the truth, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm gonna sign off now, yeah, and I'm gonna stop it here, yeah, so yeah, man, just like, subscribe, and share, and drop your comment, yeah? Yeah, man, and remember, no matter what you're going through, remember somebody have it worse than you, yeah? Yeah, man, like, share, and subscribe.